Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the finale of Star Trek: The Optimum Syndicate, Episode 8, Conquest, Part 2. I'm your host, James Phoenix, and as always, I will be playing formerly Captain, now Admiral, Charles Bradford, leader of our little cadre. Joining me for this wonderful finale, we have the usual. We, of course, have taking point this episode, Commander Li Long Xiaofang, First Officer Chief Engineer, played by Marcus Shadow.
Reporting for duty.
We have Tactical Officer Chief of Security, Lieutenant Junior Grade Jax, played by Chris the Mole.
Spoiler, this episode I got promoted to Super Supreme Omega Admiral Jax.
EX plus Alpha.
Yes. Hyper Edition. But hi, people!
We have the Communications Officer and Helmsman, Acting Ensign Roger McClinton, played by Richter Hammer.
Hello.
And, of course, our closest thing we have to an Acting CMO,
Oh,
played by Anastasia Laserbeam.
Yo.
Okay then.
So, this is our final episode, and
our final frontier, if you will.
Our final frontier, and we're going to wrap this all up, and we hope you have enjoyed this little
That's
journey.
what the episode should have been called.
It should have been, but it wasn't. So, we hope you enjoyed this little trip with us, and we hope you enjoy the ending. Take it away, Marcus.
All right. Commander Zhao's personal log. It had to be the attaché to the president, didn't it? This is gonna suck. All right. Well, I want this recorded, just in case we don't come out of this alive. It is, in fact, Crane, the attaché to President Baco, who's been behind all the mysterious things we found. You can check our logs to corroborate all of this. But he has apparently been in contact with the Romulans, the Brain, the Tholians, the Cardassians, and what is it, Kathy? Anyway, he's got all this technology from all the different people. He's brought them in. He's trying to create a warp bomb, and we found he is going to try to kill a bunch of leaders from the different factions here, because they're going to be having a meeting with President Baco on Deep Space Nine. He's going to kill them all, start an interstellar war, and basically get himself voted in as the new president of the Federation. And to top things off, he wrote a dissertation on Adric Thorson, which means he's probably trying to continue the Optimum Syndicate and try to put humanity at the forefront. That's not good. And we're going to go stop him. And the only way to do that is we need a ship to get there. And the only ship I can think of is the Conquest. So the crew and I are about to take that back. So hopefully this will all go well. And my log will be kind of superfluous, but hey, you never know, right? If I don't speak with any of you again, it's been an honor. Zhao out. Zhao closes out his log and encrypts it in his personal data files before walking out of his quarters in dress robes. Well, robes, dress uniform. He walks down to the docking bay to the Conquest. He sees two lieutenants standing guard in front of the Conquest. They snap to salute. Commander? Zhao stops and salutes them both. One of them looks at him. What are you doing here, sir? I'm here to oversee the removal of the hollow cloak. It is my baby, after all. I did create it. Kind of sad to see it being removed off the Conquest, but they have granted me permission to make sure nobody screws it up. Understood, sir. You have the proper credentials? I do. Zhao pulls out a pad and hands it to the speaking lieutenant, who looks it over. Very well, sir. He hands the pad back. And Zhao walks, once again, onto the Conquest. Zhao glances around, noticing that only the two of them are there. This could work in my favor. Shaw walks down to deflector control, where the removal of the hollow cloak has begun. He walks into the room, seeing 2 lieutenant commanders actively working. They glance up at him. Commander? Xiao nods. As you were, gentlemen. Yes, sir. They turn back and keep working. As Xiao slips his hands into his uniform pockets and pulls out 2 syringes. He walks up behind the 2 men and injects both the syringes into their necks, injecting the liquid contained within the syringes. They gasp as their eyes roll into the back of their head. Zhao catches them and lays them gently on the ground before removing the syringes and looking at them. Huh. I'll have to thank Nora when I see her. He pockets the syringes and moves the bodies aside as he reconnects the hollow cloak. Okay, that part's done. He jogs back up to the airlock and taps the 2 lieutenants on the backs of their shoulders. The lieutenant commanders have kind of passed out. I need you to remove them and get them to medical. I'll finish the removal myself. Yes, sir. So they follow him back down to deflector control to find the 2 officers still laying there. And be careful with them. I don't know what happened. I walked in and they passed out. Yes, sir. We'll be careful, sir. Excellent. The 2 lieutenants pick up the lieutenant commanders and exit the deflector control. That was a little too easy. Zhao slips his hands back into his pockets and realizes that he had forgot to cap the syringes. Oh, might want to do something about that. He pulls the syringes back out, pops the caps on them, and walks off toward the transporter room. Upon entering the transporter room, he walks up to transporter control, taps a few buttons, and the transporters hum to life as the rest of the crew join him. All right, I've disposed of the officers on board here. We need to get out of here before they come back. Zhao pulls out the 2 empty syringes and hands them to Nora. Good job. They work like a charm.
Can I eat one?
I don't think that would taste good.
Oh,
That'd be up to the doctor. Now, come on, let's get to the bridge and get out of here.
to the bridge.
Aye, sir.
The 4 make their way to the bridge as Zhao stops at the command chair and looks down at it. This one's for you, Bradford. Zhao sits down in the chair. Cadet, have you ever, or not cadet, sorry, acting ensign, have you ever piloted a ship out of space dock at full impulse before?
Only in the simulator, sir.
Well, it's time to go full scale with this because we're only going to have one shot at this and we need to make this quick.
So no
Aye,
bridge.
sir. I'll do
All
my
right,
best,
let's do
sir.
this. Totally pumped.
Jax, on my mark, I want you to blast the moorings. Once the moorings have been blasted clean, McClinton, lay in a course for Deep Space Nine, best possible speed.
Did you say blast the boring? Because Bradford's not here, sir.
Ah,
Good one, Lieutenant. No, I said blast the moorings. Because I don't think they're going to just retract them and let us go.
Did you ask nicely?
with the pretty please on sugar on top.
Pretty pleased with corn sugar on top.
We've been pulled off the ship, Lieutenant. We have no authority whatsoever to take this ship. So, no, I didn't ask at all.
Fair enough. So I shoot that, and he makes the impossible flight through. This should be
Correct.
fun.
You're also going to have to shoot the doors open.
And if I miss by just a slight one, him and everyone else will die. Cool. This will be fun.
Absolutely.
Jack says, taking his blaster, or phaser, whatever you want to call it, and he points it towards the target, and it's ready to shoot.
Jax with the ship, not with your phaser.
Oh, fine. Glad he told me now that could be awkward. Jax begins pressing buttons. Bleep, 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 blop, bleep, blop, 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 bleep, blop.
Zhao presses a few buttons on his armchair. All the airlocks are secure. Fire when ready, Lieutenant.
Okay, and firing now.
The moorings holding the Conquest in place are severed with surgical Gordon precision. Now, Ensign, take us out.
Aye, sir. Full impulse, taking us out. Roger begins pushing the buttons and piloting the ship out.
The Conquest rips itself free from the airlock tunnel as the ship begins to shake under the speed. Steady, steady. Lieutenant, blast a hole through those doors.
Firing now. Press it.
The Conquest emerges from the smoking hole of the doors in the space station. Excellent work, gentlemen. Excellent work. Glinton, take us to maximum warp.
Aye, sir. Plotting in course now. Maximum warp.
That was fun.
All right. So, Ensign, were you able to obtain that invite to the party?
I did, sir. Invite with a +1.
Yay! Fancy party time.
Indeed. Hopefully you brought a dress in that cryotube with you, Nora, because you two, in fact, are going to the fancy party. I need you two to infiltrate it. Look for the warp bomb. It's either going to be in that room or it's going to be near it.
I managed to snag a fancy outfit.
And Cadet, did you bring a dress?
I don't think I should wear a dress, sir. Having
As much as I'd like
flashbacks
to
of
see
high
that,
school.
I don't think it would work out.
Indeed. Lieutenant, I want you to kind of creep around the station and see if you can locate any other locations where the bomb might be. Do keep in mind that the warp bomb has an 18-meter implosion diameter.
Creeping
So
is
it's
my
got to be...
specialty.
What's that?
I can do that. Creeping is my specialty. Like last night, I was in your bed chambers, and I hid behind the door when you got up to get water.
That's creepy, Lieutenant. Never tell me that again. But yes, look within that kind of range because that's where the bomb will have to be. Once the bomb is located, then we'll worry about stopping it and disposing of it. I'll remain on the ship in case any of you or all of you need an emergency transport.
Good idea. Look for a bomb.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, Zhao takes off the dress uniform that he's wearing to show that he's got a bunch of straps strapped to his body. He pulls out tricorders that have been strapped to himself. Here, I've modified these. They should allow you to scan specifically for the warp bomb.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. Now prepare for the party, prepare for the infiltration. The three of you meet in Transporter Room 1 in about an hour. This is going to get dicey.
Setting phasers to boogie.
It's not an actual setting, is it?
No. No,
There's a
it's
setting
not.
that pops out with fancy dresses or something.
No, sadly, there is no boogie setting.
McClinton, open a channel to Bradford.
Aye, sir. Channel open.
Hey, Bradford, you hearing this?
Confirmed, Commander. And is the channel secure on your end?
It is, and so is the ship. We're en route to DS9.
Good. You're making good time, and we don't have any of that to waste. I assume you've laid everyone's rolls out to them already?
Absolutely, I'm sending them down. They're going to look for the bomb, and then we'll deal with it when we find it.
Good. You should be able to get in there without too much of a problem with representatives of almost every known government in the quadrant. It'll be chaos. They won't notice one extra ship floating around, I don't think. At the same time, be careful, because with that many world leaders around, there's going to be security up the wazoo.
So
That's
what color
true.
suit are you wearing? Because I don't know if there's like a dress code or something, and I only managed to steal one dress off the space station. You just
Oh,
fancy overall, or
it'll have to do. I don't know. I think just a black tie affair. I don't know for
is
sure,
that what
though.
you're wearing?
Yeah.
'Cause usually you have like a tie matched to a girl's dress or something, or like, you know.
Ensign, might I recommend your dress uniform?
Oh, okay. Will
Uh,
do, sir. I have that, I think, still in my room on the ship.
Excellent.
Do I get a tuxedo?
that would be.
You're
cute.
going to be slinking in Jeffrey's tubes and messy hallways, so I'm going to say no, Lieutenant.
You wear whatever you want to wear. Just you make it
It's a
messy.
bit small, but you could try to wear mine, sir. It's a rental, so be careful.
I think I would rip it, but thank you, Cadet.
At any rate, seeing as I'm stuck here anyway, I'm going to keep an eye on Crane. Since we know he conveniently left himself off the guest list, and obviously with a bomb going off, he'd want to not be there to throw suspicion off himself. I'll manage to see if I can get through to you if there's any developments on that situation here. Commander, you're going to remain on the ship to supervise the mission, correct?
Absolutely.
Good. If I find out anything on this end, I'll be in touch. Good luck, you all. I'm sorry to have to send you on this, but, well,
Godspeed or whatever you
yeah,
people.
the fate of the galaxy is literally resting in your hands. Good luck, guys. Bradford out.
Jack's out.
Is everybody just spitting things or making spitting sounds? Because that's gross.
All right, enough, you guys. Go make your preparations. We'll be there soon.
Aye, aye, sir.
What color is your uniform?
Mine? Yellow.
Oh, not yours.
Should be the normal Federation red, which
Red.
kind of worries me in its own way.
Hey, if you get shot, like, it won't show blood.
Mm,
No, it's not if he gets shot, it's when he gets shot.
mm.
No, it works because the dress I also got was red.
I'm gonna go get changed now. Roger hurriedly runs out of the room.
Nora also gets changed.
Ugh.
Or goes to get changed.
The scene shifts to the Conquest dropping out of warp near DS9. The rest of the crew having reemerged in their outfits for the evening onto the bridge. Excellent.
Unlikely, but I wonder if that little shit who owes me money's here.
If by little shit you're referring to Quark, who owns the bar, yeah, he'll probably be there. Come on, with that many people on the station, it's the perfect opportunity for him to swindle more money out of them.
True, but We're never that lucky. I like money.
Who doesn't?
Ensign, engage the hollow
Well,
cloak and dock us with DS9.
Aye, sir.
The Conquest hollow cloaks as a nondescript Federation ship and docks with DS9.
Hello, non-specific spaceship.
All right, you guys, get out there, look around, let me know what you find.
Aye, sir.
Where are the eyes and ears?
Yes, sir.
Does this make me look fat?
No.
Cool.
And Clinton walks up to the door guard, handing in his invitation to get inside.
Everything checks out. Welcome, cadet.
I'm the +1.
Yeah, she's the +1. Thank you, sir. I'll see you inside, sir.
Absolutely. Do enjoy yourself.
Will do, sir. McClinton looks around the room. Where do you think they would hide the bomb?
Probably someplace no one would think they would hide it.
I imagine it's pretty big, so
It's gotta be like hidden in plain sight or something.
probably. Well, there's a really big display next to the buffet table.
probably
Let's try that.
You probably stick a bomb in that. I mean, I
Probably.
don't know what your space bombs look like. If they're anything like cell phones, they got smaller and then they got larger again.
I don't know what that is, but maybe.
Oh, it's technology. It started off small, but then
Oh.
eventually got larger and larger. So I don't know, as you made more bombs, did they get bigger, or future bombs are smaller?
Well, if it's as destructive as the commander was letting on, I think that it would probably be pretty big.
Okay.
And it doesn't look like it's under any of the tables. The cloth covering doesn't go to the floor.
You're
Jax,
right, it does not go with the floor. That's an awful color.
Jax begins to scurry underneath, looking around. Come to the party, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Roger reaches into his pocket and pulls out a tricorder. Getting a couple readings.
What does it say? Does it look like something that, caused a big boom?
Yeah, I'd say so. Seems pretty close. Since we're at the buffet table, I think it might be the display over there. Roger slides along while putting little bits of food on his plate. Hmm.
Is this like genetically like enhanced food or, like GMOs was a big thing in my time. So is all this actually from a farm somewhere?
Well, it's probably replicator food, I would assume.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys got replicator things. Does anybody grow anything anymore? Is there like no farmers ever?
Oh, maybe somewhere. Near where I used to live, they did have farmers, but I never saw them. I was worried that I'd get like hay fever or something.
I just thought it'd be
Oh.
out of business if you could just replicate food, but that's cool that some people are still huffing it.
Roger looks down at the tricorder. Yeah, these readings are consistent with the ones the commander gave us. It's definitely in this thing. Now we can't really disable it, and I don't know if there's someone here for it, so maybe we should just kind of move back and see if anyone tries to, touch it in a way that doesn't seem right.
I think we should like probably mellow out to a non-specific area where there's less people until we've located the bomb.
All right.
Keeping an eye on it.
Roger slinks away from the display and toward crowds of people. We should blend in here, but this is a little uncomfortable. They're all very close.
Yeah, but then we won't be overheard because they're all like, oh, posh, posh, posh talk, posh, 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 money, blah, blah, blah. I'm so important.
You're right.
So use your tricorder thing. Is that also a cell phone communicator thingy? Can you call Jow on it?
No, I have the little communicator for that. We split them up just in case, one was taken. It wouldn't completely take away all of our chances for doing this.
Okay, cool.
Just as he finishes talking, a suspicious person walks over to the display.
What's he doing?
I don't know. He just pretended to drop something, and now he's down near the bottom of it. I don't... He's not picking it up. I'm pretty sure that's just a cover.
Yeah, he's not even have anything in his hands. He's like operating it or starting countdown or who knows what.
We should let the commander know.
Yeah.
McClinton pushes a button on his communicator. Commander,
Go ahead, Cadet.
it's the display in the middle of the room, and I think the guy's either checking it or activating it right now.
Oh, crap. Can you get to him?
Not with all these people in the way.
What would you want us to do? I mean, I'm not gonna like jump him or anything, cause a scene.
Well, if it would save the people, that's exactly what I expect you to do, but fair enough. I'll be down there momentarily. Shout out.
I mean, we could jump him, but we wouldn't have any proof that what we're saying is actually true, and then we'd probably get arrested and thrown off and then blow up anyway.
Probably.
Shout to Jax. Come in, Lieutenant.
I'm here, sir.
It would appear our intrepid away team above you have located the bomb and someone who appears to be arming it. We need a way into that room, and we need it now.
Well, we could go in through the ceiling, or through the floor, or through one of the walls. I'd say probably underneath would probably be better.
I would tend to agree, Lieutenant. Find us a good place, I'll beam to your location.
Yes, sir. Jax continues his search underneath, looking for the specific spot that would probably be best.
Xiao lugs a rather large crate up onto the transporter pad and steps up onto the pad himself, awaiting Jax's command.
Okay. Now, sir.
Computer, disengage hollow cloak. The Conquest drops the hollow cloak, revealing the Conquest for all to see. Now, computer, initiate transport protocol Zhao 25. Zhao beams in next to Jax with the crate. All right,
Hey.
Lieutenant. Help me lug this crate over to where we're going to be making our grand entrance.
Okay. Jax picks it up and starts to carry it towards where they need to go. Boom. He places it down. There you go, sir.
Excellent. Xiao opens it up and pulls out what looks like a rather large weapon. You may want to stand back, Lieutenant.
Yes, sir. Jax steps back.
Xiao kicks the crate out of the way and pulls open the bottom of the gun, revealing what appears to be a massive tripod. He sets it down on the floor and aims it up at the ceiling above them. He presses a few buttons and jogs back over to where Jax is. Have you ever seen a mining laser in action, Lieutenant?
Not really.
Well, now you're going to, and it's a modified one. Let me introduce to you the Phaser Cutter Mark II. The front of the gun splits open to reveal multiple barrels, and it begins to rotate. Phaser beams lance out from the barrels, making a circular incision in the ceiling above them. Jump to McClinton. Get ready for the show.
Aye, aye, sir. He's still there.
I got
Good.
this.
Just make sure President Baco remains safe. Shout
Will
out.
do, sir.
The phaser cutter cuts a perfect circle in the ceiling above, as the ceiling above and the floor above that come crashing down into the chamber where Jax and Xiao are located.
Okay. Let me do my thing.
Yes, go get him, Lieutenant.
Jax walks forward. He sees the hole. He jumps, grabbing onto it and pulling himself up. God damn, these pants make jumping hard. He then climbs on board. He sees the guy in question, the one he knows is meant to be the risk to the security. Hi, I'm Jax. He punches him in the face, knocking him to the floor. He then jumps up in the air and stamps down on the guy's face, snapping his neck slightly.
Nice.
Done, sir.
Xiao pulls himself through the hole right as he hears the sickening crack. Ooh! I said stop him. I didn't say maim him, Lieutenant.
Is he
Maim,
stopped?
I think it's snapping the neck's not. I mean, that's a fatality.
Like I said, is he or is he not stopped?
He is, Lieutenant. And you are the medical professional. Fair enough, Doctor.
That's what we call dead. Definitely dead.
He's not dead. I used non-lethal rounds in my foot.
Yeah, 'cause that's a thing.
Xiao walks over to Jax and drops to one knee as he takes a look at the display. Yep,
I do.
definitely a warp bomb. Hey! Enough of that, Lieutenant. But yes, looks like a warp bomb. Looks like he was trying to prime it. Looks like you got to him in time. Good work.
Thank you.
Huh? Xiao turns around and sees all the security pointing phasers at him and Jax. Well, crap.
What's wrong?
That's... Do you not see all the phasers pointed at us, Lieutenant?
I was gonna say, like, this wasn't exactly subtle.
Well, if I know one thing about humans, and you're the doctor, Nora, correct me if I'm wrong, you're phaser-proof.
Oh yeah, absolutely, totally, just like that guy's death proof.
Okay, then you guys are probably gonna die first, then I'm gonna die straight after you.
Awesome.
Xiao
Tis a
stands
good
up.
day to die.
Xiao stands up with his hands up. Can I help you, gentlemen? Security look at Xiao. Just what are you doing here? Did you just murder one of our security detail? Yes?
He's sleeping.
Look, you wouldn't believe me if I told you anyway. Oh, really? Why don't you try us?
It's a freaking big bomb, alright? And it's gonna kill everybody.
Okay, well, basically, it all started when we found her frozen in ice a long time ago. This was just after I, a Gorn, came on board as a giant lizard and became part of the crew. Then we went forward, and yeah, there happened to be a big bomb here. We cut a hole in the floor. I jumped up, and yeah, that's how we got here.
I don't think he was asking for your life story, Lieutenant.
Oh, that wasn't my life story. That was just the story of how we got here.
Fair enough. So a bomb, huh? Yes, a warp bomb. But like I said, you wouldn't believe me. A warp bomb. Please. That's a physical impossibility. Well, your physical impossibility is in that hollow generator right behind me. Luckily for you, we stopped this guy before he could arm it. Yeah,
We?
right. Well, my lieutenant here stopped him before he could arm it.
The guards go to grab the crew, and all of a sudden a transporter beam activates, and Bradford and several security officers beam down with Alexander Crane between them, phasers pointed at him. I believe I can clear some of this up, gentlemen and ladies.
Hi, Cap. The Gorm waves.
Hi, Jax. Excuse me? President Backo calls from behind the group as everyone spreads upon hearing her voice. She steps forward. Admiral, if you have an explanation, I would very much like to hear it. This is a very important conference that has just been very violently interrupted. I understand, Madam President, so I'll have to explain. I believe you know your attaché, Alexander Crane. I very much do. He's been very good to me these last few years. May I ask why he appears to be in custody? Because my former crew at this point is actually telling the truth. There is, in fact, what we believe to be, anyway, the prototype of a warp bomb inside that device over there. Bradford pulls out a pad and hands it to the president, who begins looking at it. Fleet Admiral Leonard Akar, who is standing next to her, the head of Starfleet, begins looking at the pad as well over her shoulder. You see, when we were out testing the holocloak on the Conquest these last few weeks, we found some rather interesting things going on. We were accosted by a number of races, several of whose representatives are here today, the Romulans, the Breen, the Tholians, among others. It looked like they were forming some type of a group calling itself the Optimum Syndicate. We felt this to be a potential threat to Federation security, so we pursued to learn as much as we could, but aside from the fact they were trying to steal some Federation technology and clearly had some vendetta against us, we weren't able to get much in the way of detail. What became suspicious, however, is when Starfleet began ordering us to return. I will fully admit and take responsibility that I did blatantly disobey orders from the Admiralty at that time to further pursue and determine the full extent of this potential threat to the Federation. When I noticed something even odder, and that's that the final set of orders was actually coming from Mr. Crane himself. Rather unusual for anyone in your office to get directly involved with Starfleet affairs, and even if they did, it would normally go through Admiral Akar. Well, when we finally returned to Starfleet, we did a little research after a combination of both those unusual orders and my interrogation by Mr. Crane, which I'm not sure if you're aware of. Again, normally would have been performed by merely the Admiralty, yet for some reason he felt the need to be present. We researched and found that he had been requisitioning parts that happened to emanate from the varying lands of the supposed syndicate members, and at the same time, he had me promoted to Admiral conveniently to stick me on a desk to get me out of the way. Those parts he requisitioned formed the bomb that you'll find in the device over there. The warp bomb was only theoretical up until recently, but it seems like he at least believes he perfected it. Had that gone off, everything within a circumference of 18 meters would have been wiped from existence.
As everyone's turning to look at the bomb, Jax uses his foot to push the dead corpse into the hole to cover up his tracks.
At any rate, it would seem, based on the investigation, we found that your attaché was he tried to hire it, an admirer of a man you might have heard of from many years ago. I assume you've heard of Adric Thorson. Adric Thorson? That man was a horror. We are far beyond that type of barbarism now. I wish I could say the same, Madam President, but there are always a few who cannot get past it. I believe, if my investigations are correct, that Crane intended to use this bombing attack to justify a war against the Syndicate powers and begin committing genocide against all non-human races. First, those unallied with the Federation, then the Federation's allies, and then the other Federation members themselves.
You son of a bitch.
You'll note if you look at some of the various communications that's sending out from your office to your allies, they are strangely insistent on a potential attack from the Syndicate members, and at the same time encourage a strong retaliation and strong defense against them if the need arose. I believe he intended to use this to run and succeed you as president once this attack had gone down. As one of the few who had seen this attack coming, he would have won over the hearts of the people rather quickly, in addition to various propaganda he would have sent out after the fact. I am shocked. Alexander, you have been in my service for well over a decade. Take him away. Just a moment, Madam President. Before you do that, there is one other thing I noted. When we were investigating, we noticed that Mr. Crane had some very strange alterations made to his medical records. Again, I know those are intended to be confidential, but I assure you the ends are justifying the means in this case, and if there are any repercussions for any of the actions we took to get to this point, again, I will accept them on behalf of my former crew here. They were acting under my orders still. But upon investigating a combination of the medical records, his educational records, including his dissertation on Adric Thorson that led us to understand his motivations, you may notice the group called themselves the Optimum Syndicate, not unlike the Optimum Movement led by Thorson centuries ago. But the medical records in question were all eerily identical, as if they had been forged for everything that would have been necessary to have prior to 14 years ago. At the same time, there were other suspicious records that were effectively showing the life he had prior to 14 years ago, and there were discrepancies, oddities, things that didn't make sense. A combination of all these discrepancies and the aforementioned interrogation that I had with him earlier, I came to realize there was a reason why these records didn't make sense. You see, prior to 14 years ago, there was no Alexander Crane. He didn't exist. He created the identity of Alexander Crane for the purpose of becoming your attaché or someone high up in your government or the government of whoever was president at the time. Obviously, you were not in office just yet, Madam President. But he intended to get into a position of power in order to orchestrate this genocidal, psychotic plan of his. I might not have picked, even with the discrepancy records, I might not have picked up on it. Bradford leans in to look Crane in the eye as he says the next words. But there was one other thing I noticed. You interrogated me. Near the end of it, you said my name. There was a tone to it, one I recognized. I didn't want to believe it at first, but when I further saw the records and everything conveniently started to fall into place as more realistic-looking records 14 years ago, there was only one explanation. It finally makes sense why you would have wanted me, of all people, out of the way, why you sent me onto the Conquest, a derelict ship with some experimental engineering technology. I, Charles Bradford, my reputation precedes me, and if I'm not being too arrogant, you and I both know that mission was not befitting a captain of my standing. And the fact that the Admiralty would do so, again, further investigation, your recommendation, not theirs. You tried to get me out of the way, but you didn't foresee this loyal crew that I would end up with. Number one, you did not see that Commander Zhao would be there, which was, I'm sure, the biggest monkey wrench in your plans. But the fact that I had the loyalty of Lieutenant Jax and that we would have this bright young cadet or find this young nurse from the past, you had no way to know we would come together this way. But the fact is,
Teamwork.
but the fact is,
Kick his ass, Cap.
but the fact is, it did. See, you got me out of the way because you knew that I was the only one, even with the genetic alterations and the surgery, the only one who could potentially recognize you, because no matter what you hide behind, no matter what you look like, your demeanor hasn't changed. And let me tell you that I admire your gall for going this path. You see, even Zhao himself wouldn't have recognized you. He didn't work with you very long. But I did. I knew you. When Zhao ended up being promoted to chief engineer, I had my doubts about him, about his ability to handle the task at hand. But even I know that you were never half the engineer he was. This man is not Alexander Crane because up until 14 years ago, he had an alternate route to succeed in this plan. He wanted to go directly to the Admiralty for the military power, but a Starfleet career was taking too long, so he faked his death. This man is the former chief engineer of the Sanzio, Lieutenant Commander Nicholas Prynne.
Zhao blinks. Are you serious?
I don't think that attack on the Sanzio those years ago was a coincidence. I'm assuming he paid someone off to stage an attack on us so he could fake his death. A Starfleet career getting promoted was taking too long, but politics, well, anybody with a rousing personality could rise through politics overnight. It was a far faster way to get to where he needed to be. All he needed to do was a quick education, which he achieved, including that dissertation on Thorson, to prove that he had a knowledge of history of our people to get himself into position. Well, it worked. But he didn't count on you ending up with me and his crew ending up together. But your plan didn't work, Prynne, and now you're going to jail for a very, very long time. Take him away. The security officers lead Prynne away, as the president and Admiral Akar whisper to each other under their breaths for a moment. Admiral Akar steps forward. Well, that is quite a story, Admiral Bradford. Of course, you'll need to see all the evidence you've compiled that prove this. And I've looked at some of it here on the pad, and what I see so far, it's accurate. Well, this being the instance, it seems you've saved not only my life and the life of President Baco, but the life of all of the leaders found here today. It seems you've earned those pips after all. Not just me, sir. My crew as well. I couldn't have done it without them. I mean, who would have thought, when we were thrown together like this on a derelict ship to test experimental technology, this was how we'd end up. But without them, I'm nothing. I'm the commanding officer, but they're the crew, and they make me what I am. Well, in that case, with this all settled, I believe, Madam President, we were having a peace conference. Indeed, and this sort of behavior is precisely why we need to put these types of animosities behind us and form alliances. There are always going to be a few within our own ranks, as much as we hate to believe it sometimes. But if those of us that have seen past this, that see that peace is the way to go forward, can unite, even a few like him will not be able to inflict the kind of horrors that he tried. I believe we shall postpone the conference for a few days to allow for this to clean up, but I encourage everyone to stay here at the station, and the conference will resume. Thank you, everyone. President Baco concludes, and the room applauds as everyone begins sort of filing out. Oh, and Bradford. Yes, Admiral Akar, sir. I'd like to speak to you and your crew in my office. I believe I may have something for you. The scene fades and fades back up several days later at Starfleet Command in San Francisco, California, back on Earth. Bradford, Zhao, Jax, McClinton, and Needlam are all sitting in the Starfleet ceremony room. Admirals gathered around, and President Baco and her entourage, including her newly appointed attaché, are in the corner also watching. Admiral Akar continues to speak on the podium. Therefore, as Fleet Admiral and head of Starfleet, it is my privilege, based on the research composed and further investigation by my office, that any and all charges brought against you over the course of this last month be dropped. There is a cheer from the crowd.
Yay!
That said, Admiral Bradford, your promotion to that rank was in a bit of haste and without proper paperwork being filled out and appropriate approvals from my office. Therefore, at least for the time being, I'm afraid I am, by the rules of Starfleet, going to have to return you to your former rank of captain. With all due respect, Admiral, I have no problem with that at all. Bradford removes the Admiral's pips from his collar and hands them to Akar, as Akar hands back Captain's pips, which Bradford attaches. Now, that's the bad news. But, on the more positive side of things, it seems the Holocloak was a huge success. As a result, we'd like to try it out on a more prominent vessel. The Holocloak is going to be installed on the new NCC 1701F USS Enterprise, and as it stands, she is in need of a commanding officer. If you're interested, Captain Bradford. It would be an honor, sir. Thank you. More applause.
Yay!
Yay.
Now, we will of course have to sit down and review some profiles to help you find an adequate bridge crew to serve you on this new vessel. With all due respect, Admiral, I already have a bridge crew. They may be rough around the edges, but I couldn't ask for a better crew. The Admiral smiles. Very well. In that case, you are all to report to the USS Enterprise at 0900 hours tomorrow for official assignment. This ceremony is adjourned. The ceremony adjourns as everyone gets up and leaves the room. Gets up and begins to leave. Leaving Bradford and the former Conquest crew sitting in their seats. Well, that was a bit of a crazy adventure, wasn't it?
We did it!
I'm just surprised I'm alive and not arrested.
I'm glad
Not only that, Roger, you're no longer an acting ensign. You're a full ensign. Congratulations.
Yes,
Oh,
congratulations on that graduation from the Academy. You earned it, Ensign.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm glad you brought us on board, Captain. To tell you the truth, you complete me.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's
always-
a whole lot better than sleeping on ice.
This is true. Which reminds me, we should still make a note to try to find out exactly how you ended up frozen in the space station in Cardassian space to begin with. We never did figure out that little mystery.
It's fine, whatever. Does it really matter?
Commander, make a note to look into that later.
Absolutely, Captain. Shao walks over to Nora and pats her on the shoulder. Welcome to the 24th century, Doctor.
That's still not going to be weird. Or be not weird.
Well, Bradford, shall we do it right this time?
Well, given the vessel we're being handed to, I'd say so. It's been fun, but at least this time, rather than whatever we ran into this time, we'll be hopefully, instead of going out to prevent a war, we'll be going out to explore.
In a battleship. Right, Captain.
The previous enterprises have all been exploratory vessels, even if they were not necessarily equipped as such.
Gotta be prepared, sir.
To
Yeah,
boldly
you gotta get
go.
those phasers and lasers and like
He's right. You never know what we might run into out there. Space.
Boldly-
photon thingies and
Space. The
And-
final frontier.
To boldly go where no gun has gone before.
Right you are, Jax. Right you are. End scene. I'm just gonna end it there. Why not? That was good.
That works. Yay!
You could have let me get to that part though first, Mole. Jeez.
I was going to say that first because you wanted to end on yours.
I was gonna end on mine, but since you jumped in, I figured the hell with it. I figured it would have sounded really dumb if I turned around and said mine after you said yours.
It works anyway. It makes you an unconventional Enterprise captain.
True. But since we're off script now, I'll say it anyway. Space. The final frontier. These are the
Yes.
voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
I wasn't sure if you were going to do the entire thing because what you have there is the Final Frontier. Bradford finished speech.
I was just abbreviating it for the sake of not writing the whole thing out because we all know what it is.
Yeah, we all know
I
what it
don't-
was. We all know what it was. That's why I was like, well, fuck it, I'll do the boldly going out, going to before. I figured you were going to do the welcome and do all that bit at the beginning and just fade off.
I was going to do the whole thing because that's what we had discussed beforehand, but whatever, it worked. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it worked. It's fine.
Boldly go where no man. Well, no one has gone before. Let's go with the more politically correct one.
No, gone.
No Gorn. Well. Excellent.
Yeah,
No
I know,
Gorns.
right.
We're allowed one Gorn.
Yes.
Ah, clever. Nice loophole. But yes, this has been Star Trek The Optimum Syndicate. I do want to ask, Marcus Shadow, how'd you like that
Yeah.
twist?
Did not see that coming. At first, I thought you were going to go with it was the former captain.
Who?
The one that you and I served under
Ah,
on the Sanzio. But then, as you kept going to, I'm like, oh my god, he's going to make it the engineer.
we'll discuss this a little bit more next week, but I will state for the record that that little twist was Mole's idea.
Fair enough. It was a good
So,
twist.
thank you, Mole. We'll discuss that a little more. Of course, next week we will be having our wrap-up discussion about all 8 episodes of our radio play, so stay tuned for that next Saturday, and we'll go into a little more detail about it all.
And we can answer any of your questions for hashtag Gornford.
I do also want to say I wish you'd given me a chance to more respond to or react to the fact that it was the engineer, because I wanted to, as he was being taken away, I wanted to step in front of him and be like, "You bastard," and like punch him in the face.
You should have done it. When you're doing a radio like this, you got to push your way into the conversation, buddy.
Ironically, I was considering punching him in the face or punching him in the stomach or something as he left, just because he tried to kill my entire race.
That's true. That is true.
I was tempted to.
It would have been justified.
I was like, no, I just killed a dude. I've had my fun.
Indeed, indeed.
My
Alrighty,
fun.
so we'll discuss this a little bit more next week. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out the past episodes if you haven't and had an opportunity. We'll do our wrap-up next week, and then after that, you can stay tuned for a brand new radio play coming from our own Anastasia Laserbeam. How about that?
I would make a suggestion.
Yes.
Go forward, Jim. Go on to the X-Pound, go on to Gaming Zone and stuff, and get the links to the previous episodes and put them all in the description below.
Okay. Excuse me.
That's a good idea.
Just because it's linked across multiple sites.
Channels, that's true.
Okay.
That's
So
true.
it's like, well, we might as well do that. At least then it's organized and people could link.
That is true. That is true.
People like Lincoln.
They do like Lincoln. He was a good president.
Anyways, good
I
night,
also
everybody.
like his logs.
We'll see you next time. Good night, everybody.